His good-looking poet is the English romantic poet John Keats. He was born on 31st October 1795 in London. Oldest of four children, he lost both his parents at a young age. His father, a livery cottage keeper, died when Keats was just 8 years old. His mother died of tuberculosis 6 years later. After his mother's death, Keats' maternal grandmother appointed two London merchants, Richard Abbey and John Rowland Sandal, as guardians. Abbey, a prosperous tea broker, assumed the bulk of this responsibility, while Sandal played only a minor role. When Keats was 15, Abbey withdrew him from the Clark School in Field to apprentice with an apothecary surgeon and study medicine in the London hospital. In 1816, Keats became a licensed apothecary, but he never practiced his profession, deciding to write poetry. In 1816, Keats became a licensed apothecary, but he never practiced his profession, deciding instead to write poetry. Around this time, Keats met Leigh Hunt, an influential editor of the Examiner, who published his sonnets on first looking into Chapman's Homer and O Solitude. Hunt also introduced Keats to a circle of literary men, including the poets Shelley and Wordsworth. The group's influence enabled Keats to see the first volume, Poems by John Keats, published in 1817. Shelley was fond of Keats and advised him to develop a more substantial body of work before publishing it. Keats, who was not fond of Shelley, did not follow his advice. Endymion, a 4,000-line erotic allegorical romance based on the Greek myth of the same name, appeared the following year. Two of the most influential critical magazines of the time, the Quarterly Review and Blackwood's magazine, attacked the collection, calling the romantic verse of Hunt's literary circle the Cockney School of Poetry. Blackwood's declared Endymion to be nonsense and recommended that Keats give us poetry. Shelley, who privately disliked Endymion but recognized Keats' genius, wrote a more favorable review, but it was never published. Shelley also exaggerated the effect that the criticism had on Keats, attributing his declining health over the following years to a spirit broken by the negative reviews. Keats spent the summer of 1818 on a walking tour in northern England and Scotland, returned home to care for his brother Tom, who suffered from tuberculosis. While nursing his brother Keats met and fell in love with a woman named Fanny Brown, writing some of his poetry between 1818 and 1819. Keats mainly worked on Hyperion, the Miltonic blank verse epic of the Greek creation myth. He stopped writing Hyperion upon the death of his brother after completing only a small portion, but in late 1819 he returned to the piece and rewrote it as the Fall of Hyperion, which was unpublished until 1856. That same autumn Keats contracted tuberculosis, and by the following February he felt that death was already upon him, referring to the present as his posthumous existence. In July 1820 he published his third and best volume of poetry, Lamia, Isabella, The Eve of St. Nicholas, and other poems. The three title poems, dealing with mythical and legendary themes of ancient, medieval, and Renaissance times, are rich in imagery and phrasing. The volume also contained the unfinished Hyperion and three poems considered among the finest in the English language: Ode on a Grecian Urn, Ode on Melancholy, and Ode to a Nightingale. The book received enthusiastic praise from Hunt, Shelley, Charles Lamb, and others, and in August, Francis Jeffrey, influential editor of the Edinburgh Review, wrote a review praising both the new book and Endymion. The fragment Hyperion was considered by Keats' contemporaries to be his greatest achievement, but by that time he had reached an advanced stage of his disease and was too ill to be encouraged. He continued a correspondence with Fanny Brown, but his failing health and his literary ambition prevented their getting married. Under his doctor's advice To seek a warm climate for the winter, Keats went to Rome with his friend, the painter Joseph Savoni. He died there on February 23, 1821, at the age of 25, and was buried in the Protestant cemetery. Keats is known as the second generation of the Romantic poets. Second generation of the Romantic poets, and some of his poems are considered to be the finest in the English language. This is Distinguished Toastmaster Brahmakumar, and I shall be back again with another story.